Welcome to another edition of WOWSA Live. We have a very special guest and our host, as usual, Ned Denison from Cork, Ireland.
Hello, I'm an epic marathon swimmer. I'm also the chairperson of the International Marathon Swimming Hall of Fame. We are part of the International Swimming Hall of Fame, so I'll be on my best behavior because our next guest is kind of my boss. So Brent, let me kick over to you. Make your introduction at least 3 or 4 or 5 times longer than mine. Tell people who you are and what you're doing.
Well, I'm coming from Phoenix, Arizona. I am the CEO of the International Swimming Hall of Fame, which is in Fort Lauderdale. But the reason why I'm in Phoenix is that I've been the longtime publisher for Swimming World Magazine, Swimming World TV, and all the Swimming World properties. So I guess it's been about 3 years now. I approached ISHOF and I proposed a merger where we would bring financial stability to the Hall of Fame and create Swimming World as the marketing vehicle for them. So it's been a lot of back and forth trips to Fort Lauderdale, making that happen. And since I've been in seclusion, I was lucky enough to get a 6-foot haircut from a barber. And I just said, just take it all off. So you're actually the first people to see me in public, by the way. So it's been awesome. Very excited to be on this. I watch what's going on with WOWSA. I think you guys are incredible, and you go to a wonderful community. And so thanks for having me on.
So 3 years ago, when you started all this conversation, the Hall of Fame was kind of overstaying its welcome in Fort Lauderdale, and there was conversations about moving to California. And now I see pictures of a big hole being dug. Give us an update on what's happening now in Florida.
Well, we're either looking for the missing bodies or trying to find the pot of gold. So all I know is when I took over there on a 30-day month-to-month lease, the plans were moved to Santa Clara. Santa Clara was not going in a direction where it's going to actually come to fruition. So it was really kind of funny. I met with the city council people. They're all running for office. There's a new mayor coming for office, and I had them over the museum, and I've only been there for a couple of weeks, and I took them a tour of the museum, and I said, you have to take a test before you go. And they looked at me like, test, why a test? You should have told me before I walked in here. And I said, no, it's okay. So I took him down the boardroom, and I had a picture of these places around the world. And the first picture was of the Eiffel Tower. And I said, where are you? And he goes, oh, I'm in Paris. And then I turned the next one, and he's, oh, I'm in St. Louis. That's the archway. Oh, I'm in New York. That's the Statue of Liberty. Oh, we went down the line, and the last one, I said, well, turn that one over. And it was an aerial view of the Hall of Fame. And I said, you don't understand how important that this international icon is to the city of Fort Lauderdale. Well, lo and behold, those guys got an office. They just about that time, they were making a proposal to renovate it. And here we are with the $46 million renovation of the entire aquatic facility. They signed a 30-year lease for us to stay there. I promised them we'll be marketed as an international destination. But we still have some unfinished business. We still don't have capital money for our 2 buildings. We got that front iconic wave building, and we got a museum that's been around since 1965. So it just so happens, and you're really lucky. Last night I got architectural renderings and drawings of what the next phase of this peninsula is going to look like. And my board hasn't even seen it. I showed a few people. I might get in trouble, but I'm more than happy to give you guys a quick little peek of what the next round may look like.
Yes, please.
Okay, so bear with me, audience. We'll see if we push the right buttons here. I'm going to share my screen. Let's just go here. There you go. That's the aerial view.
Wow. I just think it's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. For those of you who haven't been fortunate enough to visit the facility today, as Brent said, it's a 1960s building. It's fine, but this is stunning. This is absolutely stunning. Obviously, we can see the swimming pool, we can see the diving tank and the tower, but give us a kind of point to a few things or tell us what we're looking at.
Well, this front building that was a WAVE building, this is going to be a 5-story building right here. It's going to have a coffee shop in it, retail opportunity. It's going to have a terrace here overlooking office buildings there, more meeting rooms, terrace all the way around, and it's going to house ocean rescue there. And here is our 50-meter competition warm-up pool. And then we have the main competition pool, which will all be FINA specs, spectators. I think it's 12 to 1,500. But this little beauty right here, this is the only one of its kind in the world like this. It's going to be a 90-foot high tower. Only 40 people in the world go off of it. They're going to do a loop-the-loop, and hopefully they'll land in the water there. And then over here is our main museum. And this museum will be 5 stories. Underneath will be open area for a plaza, open space for people to go through. People will come in and they'll be able to go through parking throughout this second floor. The third floor is the museum. We'll have escalators going straight up from the ground floor to the museum. There'll be a mezzanine layer. Skyboxes overlooking the whole aquatic center. This floor will be event space, anywhere from 400, 500 people in a room for us to do banquets. And then the top will be a restaurant. And then there's a really cool, this will be right here. I don't know if you can see my arrow, but along here, this will be a walkway all the way across the area. So that's the overview from aerial view. I'll give you some quick little sneak peeks of some other aspects of this. So the actual front entrance, well, there you go. So that's the front entrance. And you can see we're going to have the iconic swim. We're just going to tell the world what we are.
It is today, as you drive by, if you didn't kind of know what you're looking for, you wouldn't necessarily recognize it. But I think this is going to remove the uncertainty on that.
Well, we're all swimmers, so there you go. And you can see the terrace area there. So it's going to overlook the Atlantic Ocean and backwards toward the facility. If you go on the inside, we're going to flip it and call it dive. And there's the pool in that regard, and coffee shop and all that elements. So from there, we'll go into this is the actual museum. Now we're facing west. Grandstand sitting there. We don't have the high dive tower in here, but underneath the stands here will be a warm-up teaching pool, and then it's open plaza here. Skyboxes, you can see what skyboxes are, museum, event space, terrace, all the way around. Just an incredible view there. And then this is more of a side view here of people coming in and walking up the side step on the terrace. What I'm really, really excited about, Ned, is the architects really captured the things that we wanted, and we wanted iconic. But when I look at this from the aerial view, I mean, what does that look like to you?
Looks like a big cruise ship to me.
Exactly.
Looks like absolutely cruise ship.
Well,
you just think it's going to pull away from the shore and head out to sea.
It's just amazing when I think about it, because Fort Lauderdale is the Venice of in the United States, and a lot of those cruise liners come into Fort Lauderdale and Miami. And I could just see, everybody really adding on to that whole iconic, the history and the culture. So I think we hit it. We've got some work to do. We just launched a campaign called, 1 in 1,000. We're looking for just 1,000 people, just all make a small monthly commitment to help support us. And so the campaign's called 1 in 1,000. Really excited about that. And then we have to go into the city, and we have to convince the city that this is an investment that we can make profitable and fill its destiny.
You know what I'm struck by, and it's obviously on a smaller scale, but the magnificent museum in Bilbao, the magnificent museum in Los Angeles have become just international tourist destinations. You don't go to northern Spain without going to the museum in Bilbao. I mean, that's people make their holidays on that basis. So in addition to the people coming down for spring break, I can see it being an incredible draw for the future. So congratulations on that. So you know, the dirt's already being moved. When is the first bit going to be working?
July of next year. You know, barring any kind of hurricane this fall. If we do have a hurricane, I get to name it. So, but in any event, so July is our target date for the aquatic center, and then you know, we have to go and raise the financing and get this thing together to get this thing going. So, collectively, you know, for it all to come together, it's a multi-year project.
And I'm gonna pull a few surprise questions on you just to test you. My turn. So when you go to the Hall of Fame yourself, what's the exhibit you go to every single time? What's the piece in there that just fascinates you the most?
That's a really good question. Nothing like, there's a vase there. There's a vase there. It's a very small vase, and it's the very first national award given to a woman who won a national championships, and that triggers a whole lot of thought in my head about aquatics is more than just sport. We've broken social barriers. You know, I look at the whole exhibit on you know, when segregation, you know, and when pools became public and what that did. I look at Annette Kellerman and wearing, you know, thinner suits, you know, where women before couldn't wear those large suits, and the drowning. So to be honest with you, I don't look at it as much from sports memorabilia. I look at it from the culture of society, and if people look at our museum as really, you know, swimming's always been on the forefront of a lot of things, you know, and we all touch the water. So that would be my answer to your question. Okay,
and then it's the International Swimming Hall of Fame. So give the listeners some idea of the breadth of countries and the personalities that you've seen the last 5 years come through the hall.
Well, to be real honest with you, Bruce Wygo is my predecessor. He's the historian. The guy's a walking encyclopedia. I tell him, I say, Bruce, you tell the story, I'll sell the story. And with that combination, he brings that quality that you're answered, that you look at there. You know, I think we have 147 countries that are represented. There's flags from everything there. We really don't want to be United States Hall of Fame. We want to be International Hall of Fame. But yeah, I mean, it's when we have our induction ceremony and we induct, you know, sometimes 11, 12, 15 people, I'm always amazed they come from all over the world. Budapest, Hungary, obviously, Italy. They're coming from China, Japan, and they come with their families, and it's a big deal. And I think when I look at the meaning international, that's what we are. And which brings me to a little bit of a segue to your answer here. If you look at our mission and our vision, it was in our mission. I wanted to put in there sharing of cultures. I wanted to put that in there because whenever the world goes in a lot of different directions, and even war or anything, it's usually for the lack of appreciation of other countries' cultures and not understanding them and not get to know them as friends. So it was really important that the International Swimming Hall of Fame is a mix of all cultures, appreciation for all cultures. And I think that my hope is that it will continue going in that direction.
I had the pleasure of being at your induction ceremony last year, and certainly for me the most moving was the posthumous induction of the French swimmer, You'll be better at his last name than I am. I think Naski, but I'm sure I'm not pronouncing it right. He was a French champion, ended up in the concentration camps in World War II, came out of the concentration camps, became a champion again, which is just, you just can't imagine. And it was an appreciably large group that had come just for his induction. And you could see how incredibly special it was. But for the audience, you just were going, so he came out and again became a champion. It was just a human story that was just so moving.
It's a responsibility when you have to showcase someone's historical achievements, and it has to take the test of time. And when we do that, if the hair doesn't raise on the back of your neck, we haven't done it. And I think we've done a good job, and I know we'll continue doing that.
Tell us a little bit about the integration between the publishing and the Hall of Fame itself. What are the positives? What are the challenges? What are you trying to do in the future with that integration?
Well, our challenge is twofold. One is ISHOF had a lack of media exposure, and then Swimming World, being a media company, is under the same duress all media companies are. With the entry barrier to have a voice, or entry barrier to start your own media company, is so low right now. So when I was looking at the long-term nature of the internet, and everybody wants everything free and all that, and seeing newspapers across the country, going out of business, I was like, this isn't a for-profit business. This is a non-profit business, And I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm like, by merging with the Hall of Fame, we basically turn subscriptions into memberships. We turn advertisers into sponsors, and people are they're less likely to subscribe to a magazine than they are to support a cause. And when I did the deep thought and all that, I said, this is how I want to go. And it's very interesting. I'm seeing some major newspapers go to nonprofits. There's one in Salt Lake City, in Utah. Major newspaper. They decided to turn nonprofit. So that was the initial impetus. That was the motivator. And by doing that, we gave the Hall of Fame a huge exposure. And the challenges have been merging cultures. Two websites that we have to integrate. We have an ISHOF.org, and we got a swimmingworld.com. You got your own platforms. I'm wearing 3 hats. I'm the publisher, Swimming World, the CEO of the Hall of Fame, and president of the Hall of Fame, and running 2 corporations really is not the best solution long term. So the title publisher will probably be first thing that I release, and then concentrate on the Hall of Fame elements. So those have been the challenging, but on a broader level, media in itself, is another whole discussion. So, if you want to dive down those and see where media is going, I'm happy to share my thoughts.
I want the springboard version, not the 90-meter version, or 90-foot version, or whatever that tower was. Far too tall for me. But no, give us an education on media in general, because most of the listeners here, we're swimmers, and we get our information from all sources. And I think when they look at the Hall of Fame, for them it's a historical record, and when they look at Swimming World, it's a kind of definitive week by week, or now even day by day, kind of covering it. If you want to see what happened in the Sun Yang case, you go to Swimming World.
Yeah, it's so media in general is very fragmented. Like I said, there's especially now with the COVID, everybody's jumping on their own Zoom, and everyone's doing their own education. So everyone has a vehicle now to express their opinions, to do that. So as a result, there's a plethora of news out there. so it's really, really important that you diversify yourself, differentiate from credibility. You really need to be credible. Then for me, I look at stats constantly. I'm constantly looking at what people like, what people don't like. I think you're getting a 90-foot version by the chance. But anyway, I'm looking, and it's amazing that the really high end, the 2% who are interested in the Sun Yang and the FINA, that's a very small percentage of the audience. You know, your audience are the ones who want the how-tos. They want technique. They want listicles, 5 ways to do this, 3 ways to fold your towel. I'm just amazed, you know, how that just takes off, you know. So I'm always looking at that, and I'm like, okay, you know, where do you spend it? But I think it's also a matter of, you can get long on the tooth. I've been in the swimming world. I mean, it's measured in scores now. So the younger generation is so important to understand, how are they getting information? What are they doing? What is their voice? So we always bring on a class of interns, and we allow them to kind of have a chance to kind of communicate with what they see, what they think. And I'm always amazed how their stories do really well. Facebook is amazing. Facebook and sharing, and I would say probably 50% come from Facebook. We put it on Swimming World, and then it mirrors over to Facebook. They see it on Facebook, they come back to Swimming World. You know, there is maybe 10% would be might come directly to the homepage to get the daily news. Those 10% are your hardcore people, but you have to optimize everything for SEO. You have to make sure that what you choose is the headline. You only have 3 seconds for someone to go ahead and click through, and 50% of those people are looking at the headline, and the other 50% are looking at the image. And so if you can marry a headline with an image, and you can get through to them, and then after that, after 300 words, they're done. So you got to go short form writing versus long term writing. So for us, we do 40 magazines a year. I don't know if you know that. We do Swimming World 12 times. We do Swimming World bi-weekly twice a month. We do Swimming Technique once a quarter. That's 40 publications, and that's really where a lot of people are subscribing. A lot of people like getting that PDF or hold it in their hands still. So from that perspective, that's where we are. The future, I think we're kind of the same way we were with the dot-com bubble. If you remember, you know,
well, painfully.
Yeah. You know?
I was in the Bay Area in the IT business. I remember it painfully.
Okay. So now everyone's got their little gold mine they think they're going to make $1 million on, and I think the winners are the ones that are able to aggregate everyone's content, bring it under one roof, vet it out. I am always encouraging people who have startups. We'll amplify it. Come to our platforms. We'll give you the exposure. We'll amplify it, and then we'll see where they go. But you know, I personally have just when I start a new idea, and it has to pass four principles, 4 test levels. 1 is a good idea. Well, everybody's got a good idea, man, right? 2, can you bring it to fruition? Okay, now you got 50% people, good idea, bring it to fruition. 3, can you sustain it? You know, can you sustain it? Swimming World's been around since 1952. The magazine since 1960. Can you sustain it? And the last thing is, can you monetize it? It's going to take you 3 years to find out if you can sustain it, and then maybe the 4th you might monetize it. So all these out there, I see them. I foresee a shakeout, but the winners are going to be those who can aggregate, help the other people come along. If they join you, great. Bring their idea under your roof.
My biggest memory of the dot-bomb days was that so many people, their entire focus was to collect a bunch of eyeballs and sell it and get rich. So their business plan was 18 months old, 18 months long. That was it. They wanted to go to the market. They wanted to sell it for a fortune. And it didn't matter whether there was actually a business there. It didn't matter whether they're losing money on every transaction. They just wanted to bring it to market and sell it. So when you talk about sustainability, that was the thing missing from .com, that very few people were talking about sustainability. And I think particularly for you, now that you've brought the Hall of Fame in, the Hall of Fame, again, created in the late 60s, is sustainable. It is a fantastic part of the sport, which is always going to have an allure, and that history is always going to be captured. One of the other things, as perhaps an offhanded compliment, you may or may not have anything to do with it, but I watched the Sun Yang hearing in wherever it was in Switzerland, and you may or may not remember, but the IT quality was terrible. You know, none of the stuff worked at all. But I took great comfort in seeing your editor, Craig Lord, sitting in the room, and I thought, okay, I can't make heads or tails of this, but I know for sure in a few hours, Craig is going to have a piece. He's been in the room. He's with all the decision makers. He probably grabbed a cup of coffee with somebody privately afterwards. And when you talk about credibility, I don't know how many journalists were in that room, but there weren't many. And it certainly helped you folks. What has the postponement of the Olympics done to your publishing business?
Oh my goodness. Well, we live off the sport. So we were event-driven journalism. A lot of people, what results, times, comparison, all that's thrown out the window. Huge retraction in the marketplace. Huge retraction. We have advertisers that are really struggling because they're not getting the product to the market, and there's not demand for that. I have a little philosophy. My tagline is, if you want to win, you first help someone else win. I've always believed that. So every one of them, nope, we're going to continue to take your advertising, and we're fine. Don't we want you to come up winning first, because they have to win first for us to win. So it's been really hard in that regard. We've had some layoffs. We had some furloughs. We have people that it makes some tough decisions on. I don't know how soon and where it is, but it also creates a tremendous opportunity to look at your structure, look at your culture, redefine job descriptions, look at where the fat is, and then come out with we changed our a lot of our journalist focus. So well, they say, what is it? Necessity is the mother of all invention. I mean, so if that's the survivability, and quite frankly, that I enjoyed it, because it uses so many problem-solving skills. And if you really are an entrepreneur or a successful leader, this is a real test for people. And I think we're fine. We're gonna make it.
As we wind up the interview, talk to us about what you're personally experiencing in Arizona. What does the lockdown look like? The last time I was in Arizona, there were a tremendous amount of advertising signs for healthcare for seniors. So I'm guessing it's an aging population down there. How is it all happening, and what do the next couple of weeks look like for you folks?
The people in Arizona, well, first of all, very few people are ever born here. Everybody came from someplace else. So, they're not people who would just follow the crowd. They're people who basically make educated decisions, and they're well balanced in that regard. As far as we're wearing masks when we go into stores, we're respecting social distancing. even I hike every morning now. I missed my water, but I'm hiking up in the preserves. Saw a rattlesnake the other day. And then, but people wearing masks on the trails, and I'm like, hey, haven't you seen, is anybody else around here? Well, and then they're kind of walking away from me. I'm like, so they're very social conscious. The governor just decided he wasn't going to open up until the 15th. And then because our good president flew in town, he decided to open up early. So that was very controversial. We overall, schools are shut down completely. Pools are not open. And obviously the barbershops aren't open.
And can you go buy cans of paint in the hardware store? Can you go buy clothes?
No, we can't. No clothes unless the hardware store selling them. But there's a broad definition of necessary business. Car washes are still open. Ace Hardware is open. Costco has a line that you can get in still with. Home Depot, they count every time one person goes out, you go in. They have wonderful car delivery. You do online, you walk up and you tell them you're there and they bring it out to you. And then, the restaurants like the drive-through burger joints, they're all drive-through. You can't go inside. They're all out. They're snaking through the parking lots with the cars and they're taking your orders while you're in your car. Everyone's finding a way to survive. As far as the nursing homes, things like that, we have our share. Everyone's a little skeptical on the numbers. Is this the correct number? I went and got an antibody test, and showed up negative. So we were able to get an antibody test. It cost me $60, but they gave it to me,
Did you walk in or drive through?
I had a big appointment. I was 2,000 ahead of me. I walked in and the lady who took my blood didn't have a mask on or anything. I looked at her like, what is this? So.
I went to get a burger the other day and the guy had a hazmat suit on and I went to get my blood taken and she didn't have a mask.
Yeah, right. So I don't know. So it's, my big takeaway of it all is that if we don't learn anything during this period, then we've wasted a great opportunity. If we go back and we all jump back in the rat race and we get back on that hamster wheel, we missed an appreciation. I go up the mountains and I've never seen Phoenix as clear as it is a bell. And I'm talking, we're going to hit 106 this week. I can tell you, it's always been a brown haze. I can see 50 miles, and it's been like that 3 or 4 weeks. And there's a lesson there. And if we don't, that's what we have to do.
Steve Nunatonis didn't actually believe that Catalina Island existed, but now we can see it from Huntington Beach, where he hasn't been able to see it for 20 years. But yeah, same experience.
Yeah.
Mine would be that I'm hearing birds that I haven't heard before. Because I'm not hearing cars, I'm hearing birds. And you just go, wow, that's beautiful, beautiful sound.
Yeah, that's good for you. That's nice.
Well, listen, we're going to let you go. We thank you very much for your time. I had planned to be at the induction this year and it's been postponed. So I still have my ticket. And I still have hopes of coming back and seeing you in Fort Lauderdale. So take care, Brett. All the best.
Thank you. And good luck with everything.
Thanks.